welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed. Today is August 30, 2025. And, if you've been tracking the AI space, something feels different, right? It feels like we're moving past the sort of magic tricks phase.
Definitely. It's much more about clear roadmaps now, real engineering.
Exactly. And what's exciting, I think, is seeing how the research, the products, the people, it's all connecting. It's creating this progress that just compounds day after day. So our mission for this deep dive, it's simple. Cut through the noise, focus on what's practical, and really bring you signal, not just hype.
Right.
Whether you're an engineer or a researcher, or maybe just someone super curious, trying to stay ahead without getting totally overwhelmed, this is for you. We'll boil down the actionable insights, the stuff that really mattered in the last, say, 24 hours in AI.
Yeah, exactly. Look, AI has definitely matured. It's not just about chasing every single announcement anymore. It's more about understanding the consequential bits, the patterns, the underlying momentum, really. Think of this less like a recap, more like a field guide. By the end, you should have a much clearer picture of what genuinely matters. Helps you connect the dots, maybe see what's coming next.
Okay, let's unpack this. Maybe we can start right at home.
Yeah.
How AI is, directly touching our personal lives, even our health. First up, something I think a lot of people have been waiting for. The Gemini app just added a likeness-preserving image editor.
Yeah.
I'm really curious about this because it tackles that really frustrating problem, character drift.
Okay.
The face just changes.
It's a fantastic leap, actually. Google DeepMind's new tool, it goes right after that character drift. We've all seen it, right? You edit a photo, face, pet, whatever, make a few tweaks, and suddenly it just doesn't look like them anymore.
Exactly.
So this editor in the Gemini app, it keeps those identities consistent, even across complex edits, even short video stuff.
Wow, okay.
You can merge sources, do multi-turn steps, style transfers, and it doesn't lose that core identity. Or the lighting, which is also key.
Yeah.
What's fascinating here, I think, is it feels like the beginning of, end-to-end visual workflows for classrooms, small businesses, solo creators.
Replacing those complex setups. Multi-subscription nightmare.
Precisely. And Google's stressing the safety side, too. Visible marks and synthed to label the AI-generated content.
That consistency is huge.
Yeah.
A big win for anyone who struggled with that.
Okay.
Sticking with Google, Translate got a massive upgrade. Real-time conversations and practice mode. We're talking two-way, real-time speech, transcripts, over 70 languages. Sounds amazing for travel, obviously.
Yeah.
But how does this really change things for language learning? Or just interacting day to day? What's the biggest shift you see there?
That's a great question, because that's where it gets, deeper, right? It's not just a translator anymore. That practice mode for learners, that's the key. Think of it like a pocket tutor.
A pocket tutor.
I like that. Yeah, it adapts scenarios based on your goals, your level, gives you hints, tracks your progress. And it works because of the Gemini multimodal stack. That means it's processing audio, text, everything together. So the ASR, the speech recognition, and the TTS, text-to-speech, they're way better.
So conversations are smoother,
Yeah.
even if you're like in a noisy cafe.
Exactly. It makes a huge difference in real-world situations. Turns it into a live interpreter, too, not just for practice.
A pocket tutor.
Yeah.
It's powerful. But I wonder, is there a potential downside? Like, if the AI is so good, does it maybe reduce the motivation to really, truly master the language yourself?
That's a really fair point, and, educators are definitely talking about that. I think the key is how it's used. If it becomes just a crutch, then, maybe it could hinder that deep learning. But if you use it as, say, a dynamic practice partner, something to overcome that initial anxiety of speaking, or a bridge when you're first immersed,
Right.
then it could actually accelerate fluency. It shifts the focus a bit, maybe earlier towards conversational confidence, cultural nuances.
So augmenting learning, not replacing it.
Exactly. That seems to be the goal.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, shifting gears to something really critical and sensitive. OpenAI has detailed its new GPT-5 mental health safeguards. This seems like a direct response to reports of people turning to ChatGPT during, crises.
Yes, it is.
I'm curious about the specifics. What exactly are things like hotline routing and safe completions training? How do they work?
Right. This is difficult, vital work, and it's good they're addressing it head on. The new safeguards for GPT-5 sound pretty comprehensive. Hotline routing is quite literal. The system detects crisis keywords, provides contact info for support hotlines immediately.
Okay, direct intervention.
Then there are new classifiers to spot these at-risk conversations. And the safe completions training. They actually worked with physicians to train the model on responses that are empathetic, de-escalating, and crucially safe. Not just unhelpful, but actively safe.
So train not to say the wrong thing.
Exactly. And their internal tests showed GPT-5 had significantly fewer unsafe responses, less emotional over-reliance compared to GPT-4. But the engineering read here is really important. Safety can degrade in long chats, so the system now watches for context drift over time.
Context drift over time. So not just looking at one message, but the whole flow.
Precisely. It's monitoring subtle shifts in tone or topic across the entire conversation, not just turn by turn. Thresholds are higher, filters cover more than just self-harm, and conversations that escalate. They can trigger human review. Even in rare cases, law enforcement alerts.
Wow, that's a significant step up in monitoring.
It has to be. When a general assistant becomes a confidant, the bar shifts. It's not just about being helpful anymore, it's about being harm-aware.
Yeah.
And their roadmap even mentions therapist pathways, parental visibility for teens, signals a long-term view on responsible use.
Okay, let's shift from personal well-being now to clinical settings. AI and health diagnostics. Philips has rolled out a big software upgrade for cardiac ultrasound Transcend Plus. It pairs sharper images with FDA-cleared AI tools like AutoEF Advanced. Can you break down what AutoEF Advanced does and why it's a big deal, especially, they say, for messy images?
Sure. AutoEF Advanced quantifies left ventricular function. Basically, it measures how well the heart's main pumping chamber is working. It's a fundamental metric in cardiology.
Yep.
The big deal part is its ability to do this accurately, even on those difficult images, ones that are noisy, maybe the patient positioning wasn't perfect, things that make manual measurement tricky and variable.
There's a consistency even with imperfect data.
Exactly. And that's where AI often shines in clinics. Not necessarily flashy new discoveries, but reliably automating complex, routine tasks to get consistent, comparable results. And crucially, as you hinted, this runs on existing consoles. Hospitals don't need new servers, new infrastructure. That lowers the barrier to adoption significantly.
That's a really powerful point. Enhancing what's already there makes sense. And sticking with diagnostics, AI for lung cancer scoring is looking, well, incredibly strong according to a new review.
Yes, the numbers are impressive.
High AUCs, that's area under the curve, measuring accuracy around 0.92 for diagnosis, 0.90 for prognosis, using both radiomics and deep learning. That sounds like it could really help in busy clinics.
It absolutely could. Those numbers rival experienced radiologists. But this raises a really important question.
Okay, what's the catch?
The crucial caveat. Most studies reviewed are retrospective, limited external validation. So, while promising for widespread adoption, for regulatory approval that really sticks, we absolutely need prospective, multi-center trials, studies that measure actual patient outcomes, not just diagnostic accuracy curves like ROCs.
Right. We need to see if it actually improves patient health in the real world, looking forward, not just analyzing past data.
Exactly. If that evidence comes through, then yes, we could see image analysis, guiding biopsies, tailoring treatments in really powerful new ways. But until then, the advice has to be thoughtful integration, keep humans final in the loop. Always.
Okay, that's a vital dose of perspective. Now, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Let's shift focus to how AI is reshaping our professional lives. The nature of work itself.
A huge area.
OpenAI is rolling out GPT Realtime for voice agents. The Realtime API is now GA, generally available. They're talking about a speech-to-speech model running in a single pass, cutting latency way down, making the AI voices feel much more human. Less robotic than those old chains.
That latency is key for natural interaction.
Plus, better accuracy for audio reasoning, function calling. And developers get things like SFTP, phone dialing, image input, brand-safe voice templates.
And the lower pricing shouldn't be underestimated either. That drives deployment. But the real story behind the story here, it's about orchestration. Seamless orchestration. Real-time can talk to tools without needing lots of brittle, custom code. It manages context smartly, trims it on the fly, keeps sessions affordable.
So it's not just the voice, it's the brain behind it, connecting to other things.
Exactly. This brings us much closer to genuinely intelligent voice agents. not just reciting scripts. Expect a flood of these. Call centers, smart devices,
Yeah.
agents that can see your screen, read labels on a product, complete complex tasks while legacy systems hum in the background. It moves from cool demo to robust production pattern.
That is a fundamental shift. Actual assistants that reason and act.
Hmm.
Okay, now in a very different sphere, pharmaceuticals. Ostro's Airmark, it's turning pharma marketing emails into actual conversations.
Interesting approach.
Yeah, allows doctors to just hit reply on a marketing email and get instant compliant answers about dosing, label language, trial results, whatever. The key seems to be that the agent only uses pre-approved text, so it clears those huge legal and compliance bottlenecks.
Ah, that's clever. Bypasses the usual delays.
Right. And it escalates to a human if needed, removes doctor preferences.
This really nails a core problem for clinicians' time. They're incredibly busy, no portals to log into, no waiting for sales rep callback. That's huge. And for the pharma companies, they get audit trails, analytics. They can see what questions are being asked, where the needs are, almost in real time. What really stands out, though, is this idea of enterprise email becoming an actual interface, not just a passive inbox. That's a very different value proposition.
Email is an active tool.
Yeah.
That's a powerful concept.
Sure.
Okay, over at Cisco, their CIO, Fletcher Proven, sounds like he's fundamentally rewriting how their 10,000 IT staff operate. An AI-first model.
Yeah, I saw that. Pretty ambitious.
Developers using tools like Cursor, Windsurf, Copilot. They're seeing acceptance rates for AI-generated code go up. The goal, free up human brainpower for architecture, creative problem solving. They're even shifting team structures away from temporary squads to small, persistent pods owning platforms end to end.
You know, the culture piece here is just so important. Previn emphasizes emotional safety over fear. That's crucial if you want people to actually experiment, to adopt these tools effectively without chaos.
Right. Can't force it.
No. And he's also smart to be wary of tool sprawl. Just layering more and more tools creates friction, cost. The real vision, the useful one, is this agent-to-agent workplace. Routine requests just resolve themselves. Not science fiction someday, but soon. That leads to credible productivity gains. It lets the humans tackle the really hard strategic stuff.
But with all this efficiency talk, there's a tough reality we have to address. Entry-level tech jobs. They seem to be colliding head-on with automation.
It's a definite pressure point.
We're hearing from new grads offers rescinded. Hundreds of applications for maybe one callback. The data shows roles shrinking as teams lean more on AI coding tools. Boot camps, even CS programs, they're scrambling to adapt, teaching AI pair programming, prompt engineering.
Yeah, it really forces the question, doesn't it? What is the practical path forward for someone starting out now?
What's your take?
My advice: treat AI as leverage, not just a threat. You have to. Build a visible portfolio, ship small tools, contribute to open source AI projects, and crucially, learn systems, not just syntax. Companies still desperately need engineers who can design architecture, secure data, reason about complex trade-offs in the real world.
So the job isn't gone, it's changing.
Exactly. It's not the end of entry level, it's a reset. A shift from I write code to I design solutions using code and AI. That's a healthier, more sustainable definition for the long run, I think.
Design with AI. That reframing is key. Yeah. Okay, let's look at some fascinating regional innovations. Humain in Saudi Arabia has shipped Allam, an Arabic-first chatbot. Grounded in Islamic values, trained and tuned entirely in-country, it can handle various dialects, not just formal Arabic, and has policy layers for local norms.
What's really compelling there is the drive for sovereign AI. AI that genuinely fits the local culture, delivers services effectively at home.
Competing with models like the UAE's Falcon Arabic.
Yeah, there's healthy regional competition. And look, maybe these models don't match GPT-5's raw global breadth, but they don't necessarily need to. Receiving local dialects well, being cost-effective, having culturally accurate moderation that provides a very real product edge in its target market. AI needs to speak the language and understand the culture for wide adoption.
Makes perfect sense. Now, shifting to physical AI, robotics. Ken Goldberg makes a strong point. Robots just lack the massive data, the experience that LLMs swam in. Simulation alone won't cut it.
Right.
His answer, GOFE, good old-fashioned engineering, but blended with modern learning.
The strategy is pretty clear and practical. Use the tools we have, model predictive control, filters, planners for reliability now. Get robots doing useful work, and then log everything, every interaction, every sensor reading, every correction. Build those crucial data sets from real-world operations.
So learn on the job, basically.
Exactly. Companies like Waymo, Robotics, they're already running this data flywheel playbook. Useful robots pay for themselves, and while they're working, they collect the trajectories, the data needed for the next generation of end-to-end models. It turns what felt like a century-long waiting game into maybe a decade-long project plan, learning by doing.
Okay, let's pull back now, broaden the lens.
Yeah.
Look at the bigger picture, the systemic forces shaping AI. Infrastructure, ethics, global influence.
The macro view.
Time magazine's Time100 AI list for 2025 tries to map that power. Across data, compute, policy, they highlight things like compute concentration, the geopolitics of the supply chain, even the return of pay-for-crawl web access. But it's also broadening African GPU projects, mobile edge computing bets.
Stepping back, what does a list like that really tell us? It underscores that control of data and compute that really defines the frontier. But then it takes organizational skill craft to turn that potential into actual impact. So the list is useful, not just as a who's who, but as a reminder. Talent density, where the capital flows, the policy environment, those things absolutely shape the pace of discovery.
Those are the levers to watch.
Those are the levers. They dictate where the power ultimately consolidates over the next decade.
Okay, speaking of power and capital, Nvidia's earnings, massive numbers, record revenue, guiding higher. And yet, investors blinked. The stock dipped.
Yeah. It's a fascinating paradox, isn't it?
It seems expectations are just astronomically high. Anything short of impossible perfection causes doubt.
That's pretty much it. This raises that critical question. Where is the return on investment, the tangible ROI on all this massive spending on GPUs? It's become a valuation story as much as, or maybe more than, a pure science story right now. Meaning, if NVIDIA's customers pause, even briefly, to actually measure the ROI they're getting from their AI investments, NVIDIA's revenue growth could plateau, even if the underlying tech progress continues. That's fine for engineers, but makes momentum investors nervous.
So the market needs proof of value.
Exactly. Measurable value, provable savings, new revenue generated. That's what moves AI spending from the experimental budget line to a standard operating expense. Hype can't do that. Only products delivering results can.
Got it. But demand is still strong overall.
Oh, yeah. Hyperscalers are still buying H100s, Blackwells. Demand is fundamentally strong, even with export controls hitting China sales. The market's just getting more demanding about seeing the payoff.
And on the infrastructure side of that payoff, Google's pouring $9 billion into Virginia, new data center campus, expanding existing ones.
Huge investment.
Driven by tax benefits, sure, but also talent pipelines. They're even throwing in AI training for students, Google AI Pro subscriptions.
Right. This is clearly locking in capacity for Gemini, Google Cloud. Creates jobs, too. Construction, operations.
What's the deeper read here?
Well, it's really the other side of the model story, isn't it? Infrastructure, workforce, they fundamentally dictate what actually gets delivered to users. Northern Virginia is already a massive global hub for data centers. This expands that footprint, helps diversify the power grid load a bit.
And the education piece.
Super smart. You can buy servers relatively quickly, but you have to earn operators, engineers, build that talent pipeline. It just shows while models get the headlines, the physical infrastructure and the skilled people to run it. Equally critical bottlenecks for making AI real.
That talent pipeline point is key.
Uh-huh.
Okay, shifting to SASE again. Anthropic's latest threat report. It shows agentic abuse is happening now, in the wild.
Yeah, that's concerning stuff.
They mean sophisticated multi-stage attacks where AI models are used actively to plan, draft messages, execute operations, data extortion, fake worker scams linked to North Korea.
This really needs to be table stakes in security roadmaps now. It's not theoretical. Security teams need to look for model-assisted decision loops, not just, isolated malicious code snippets. You have to detect the entire malicious workflow.
So a more holistic view of the threat.
Absolutely. It requires red teaming, clear policies, robust incident response plans, and always keeping humans firmly in the loop when it comes to detecting and responding to production misuse.
Yeah.
AI-powered attacks are here. They're systemic. They need systemic defenses.
Got it. Okay, on a perhaps slightly lighter note, but still about authenticity. Will Smith is catching heat over alleged AI crowd shots.
Oh, yeah, I saw that swirl.
In a tour promo video. Fans spotted weirdness, blurred faces, odd fingers, geometry that just looked off in supposed crowd scenes. The reaction was fast. Seems like people expect maybe demand authenticity from concerts, from live experiences.
It really raises that important question about transparency again. It's part of a bigger arc we're seeing everywhere. Music, film, news. Look, AI can amplify live experiences in cool ways, but it can also really erode trust if it feels deceptive.
So label it clearly.
Pretty much
Yeah.
clear labeling, honest storytelling that keeps the audience with you. Creative augmentation is one thing. Pretending synthetic content is documentary footage. That breaks the trust. Authenticity is currency, especially for artists and brands.
Makes sense. Okay, finally, in the strategic realm, this intersection of drones, AI, and nuclear deterrence. High-stakes stuff.
Extremely high stakes.
The idea is that autonomous drone swarms could, theoretically, spoof defenses, map vulnerabilities, maybe even escort delivery systems, which tightens that whole second strike credibility calculation, changes the deterrence math.
What's really concerning here, I think, is the risk of misclassification and speed.
How so?
When autonomous systems compress decision times down to seconds or milliseconds, humans get pushed out of the loop. You risk misreading a large conventional drone swarm as nuclear support, for example, especially if there's cyber interference or biased sensor data.
Escalation by
What?
algorithm. Essentially.
Essentially, yes. The only answer has to be extremely robust guardrails, verification, and seasoned human oversight. You build the tech, yes, but then you fence it with clear, unbreakable rules and human judgment. The speed of AI has to be balanced by human wisdom in these domains.
Absolutely critical point.
Right.
Okay, so with all that context, what does this mean for the future of AI development itself? Let's dive under the hood at some technical advances.
Let's do it.
There's this novel approach called stepwiser, training a generative judge for reasoning tasks. Most reward models just mark steps right or wrong, kind of silently. Stepwiser is different.
Yeah, it reframes it. It trains a judge that actually explains its verdicts using chain of thought reasoning. And it learns online, comparing different reasoning paths or rollouts. The policy, the main model, also learns to break its reasoning into these chunks of thought, makes evaluation clearer, gives finer control.
So the judge isn't just grading, it's coaching.
That's a good way to put it. The payoff is better judgment during the reasoning process, mid-trajectory, and stronger search for solutions. If the judge spots a flaw in a reasoning chunk, the policy can backtrack, explore alternatives, self-correct. That's way better than getting a single wrong signal at the very end.
A much more informative feedback.
Exactly. For anyone building systems that use tools or need multiple reasoning steps, this offers transparent signals without making the models rigid. The ingenuity is making the AI explain why it thinks something is right or wrong, enabling that self-correction loop.
Fascinating. Towards more robust, understandable AI.
Yeah.
And staying under the hood. Compelling research on why tool-integrated reasoning pushes LLMs past their limits.
Ah, yes, the synergy between language and tools.
A new paper formalizes what many of us feel intuitively. Tools expand what LLMs can do within their token limits, offloading calculations to, say, a Python interpreter. It lets the model solve problems that would be impossible just using text.
Right. The programmatic steps are often just much shorter, more efficient than trying to simulate them in language. What's really neat in this paper is the introduction of ASPO. It's a stable method to bias the AI's policy towards smarter tool use, not just using tools, but using them well.
Okay.
And the experiments show real gains, significant PASIC-K improvements on hard math problems. But it's not just number crunching. The models learn richer strategies, like figuring out what to compute and then verifying the answer using code.
So the lesson for builders.
Treat the model like a reasoning engine that delegates tasks appropriately. Not just a monologue machine trying to do everything in text. Tools are part of the thinking process.
Integrate tools deeply. Don't just bolt them on. Got it.
Right.
Robotics, too. Huge leap for Boston Dynamics Atlas.
Yeah.
A brain upgrade using large behavior models.
Yeah, really impressive work. They trained a big model, 450 million parameters, a diffusion transformer on thousands of human teleoperation demos. So now, a single policy, conditioned on language commands, maps what the robot sees and feels vision and proprioception directly to joint commands. High-frequency control.
Meaning Atlas can now.
Walk, squat, pick things up, manipulate objects, all based on voice cues. And crucially, it can recover if something changes, if it gets bumped, or the terrain shifts. Its balance still uses model predictive control, but the dexterity comes from that learned behavior model.
So combining the best of both worlds, control theory and deep learning.
Exactly. It's a really visible demonstration of the march toward generalist manipulation. Robots that could potentially do household chores, factory tasks. It feels much more tangible now. Large behavior models are making versatile robots a reality.
Incredible progress. Okay, climate modeling. A surprising finding here. Sometimes small and simple beats big and complex.
Huh. Yes, the MIT analysis. It showed a relatively simple physics-based method, linear pattern scaling, or LPS, actually did better at predicting regional temperature changes than some complex deep learning emulators.
Why was that?
LPS is good at capturing the underlying trend and ignoring short-term noise or variability. Some neural nets, apparently, can get distracted by those oscillations, chase the noise, and then stumble when faced with new scenarios outside their training data.
Interesting, but not for everything.
Right. For precipitation, the picture flips. Rainfall is much more complex, nonlinear, local. Deep learning models tend to do better there. But this whole thing raises a critical question about how we benchmark these models. If your metrics penalize models for predicting unavoidable natural variability, you might steer research in the wrong direction.
Towards models that look smooth but miss the physics.
Potentially. The better path seems to be better scoring methods and also hybrid models, embedding known physics inside the learning process. The practical win could be getting reliable, laptop-friendly emulators for policy analysts, backed up by deeper models where needed. Sometimes simpler is better, or at least a crucial part of the toolkit.
A good reminder about choosing the right tool for the job. And finally, a quiet but really neat study. Blending materials discovery with adaptive training control. AI-optimized power cells making training gear smarter.
Yeah, this one's subtle but impactful. They looked at materials like perovskite solar cells, better lithium-ion packs for more efficiency in gear you'd use outdoors or for long sessions.
Okay, better batteries. But where's the AI?
The AI comes in with a predictive battery manager. It learns usage patterns, anticipates loads, throttles charging smartly, watches for heat, extending the battery life, and keeping sensors running reliably throughout a workout.
Optimizing the power source itself.
Exactly. But then it connects to the athlete. The system fuses data heart rate, motion sensors, force curves from the equipment, and uses that to adjust resistance or tempo in real time. The goal, and what they showed, is reducing the athlete's perceived effort while maintaining or even improving their power output. That's like the holy grail for coaching.
Wow. So smarter power, smarter training, all integrated.
It's that kind of quiet background progress that turns lab ideas into real products. Small improvements, compounding better training, gear that doesn't glitch lasts longer. AI's invisible hand making everyday objects better.
Okay, well, that was definitely a deep dive. But it really shows how different the AI conversation is today, doesn't it? Compared to even just a couple of years ago.
Absolutely.
Like you said, the field isn't really waiting for one single giant breakthrough anymore.
No, it's seeing lots of smaller ones across different areas, compounding, building these more durable integrated systems that are starting to change. We're pretty much everything.
So wrapping up, maybe some final thoughts if you're out there building things.
Yeah, I'd say. Choose problems where the models, the tools, and the people can genuinely team up. That synergy seems key right now.
And if you're learning,
Pick an area that fascinates you and ship something real. Even if it's small, get your hands dirty. That's how you really learn.
and for leaders.
Invest in measurement and safety rigorously from day one so that when you get wins, they can actually scale without unpleasant surprises.
Measure twice, cut once, AI edition.
Something like that.
Absolutely.
Mm.
So as you, our listener, reflect on all this accelerating compounding progress, maybe think about this. How will this quiet integrated innovation transform one specific aspect of your world in the next, say, 12 to 18 months? Your job, your phone, healthcare decisions,
Yeah.
policy. It's worth considering. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.